trust it. You can trust that you can't trust it.
Yeah.
That's all you can trust. Yeah. That you have to aim to be 30 minutes early to be...
Just for you, sir, I'll just have you pull yourself up to the table.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have much range with the tabletop mics.
Okay.
So yeah, just to make it nice and...
How's that?
Check. Good? Yep. Nice.
Because you're in Malibu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good on that side.
Yeah. I was visiting a friend down that way on Friday, and I hadn't driven down there, so I hadn't seen any of the houses. Are you in anywhere near any?
No, not this time. 2018, I lost all of it.
Fuck.
Yeah. So I'm rebuilding and all that stuff. But welcome to the podcast, Super Life podcast. I'm stoked to talk with you about many things. Mm-hmm. And we got to know each other a little bit before because of my own issues, and we'll get to that. But, you know, I was coming in, I was like, where do we start? And for sure, I want to talk about your new book. We're going to, because I think it's so powerful. But entry into that, I want to talk about your talents and abilities, because there's also this mushroom opportunity with that too that you're doing, and the app and things like that. So you're up to some cool things. But unlike many people, I've been in and out of guru spaces and healing spaces all my life. And I could count on 2 fingers how many people were integrated and actually getting some things accomplished in those spaces. So let's talk about your abilities to help heal people. How the hell did that start? How do you do it? And you have a high level of success around it too. Mm-hmm. So has this door always been open?
I realized I could do it when I was 18. So, in hindsight, it was in me before that. But we don't live in a world where if you have this underlying ability, there's any mechanisms to discover it. So, if you're going to be a good surfer, there's surfing, and you can try it and watch it and do lessons. And if you're going to be good at maths, there's math class, acting, there's drama. So even if you have this talent, there isn't really, especially at a young age, there isn't really anything that sort of says, oh, can you do this? In fact, it's quite the opposite. If you were to inquire, you would be told it's just not true or whatever else. So at 18, I accidentally discovered it. When I say accidentally, I discovered it. What part was a true accident or not, I can't tell you. But one day I started feeling energy between my hands, and I thought I had lost my mind. I'd never heard that people feeling, this is not healing, this is just literally feeling a phenomena between my hands.
What did it feel like?
It felt magnetic. It felt like I was holding, like if you're holding 2 strong bar magnets.
Very physical. It felt like...
Yeah, so like now when I move my hands in and out, it feels like they're repelling each other and then pulling each other. It's like at certain distances, it's like behaving exactly like magnets. And so I felt this and I thought, uh-oh, I've lost my mind. I genuinely thought this, and then I accidentally healed someone with it, or it healed someone, however you would like to term it. So I didn't know that this was possible. I had never heard of it, at least not to my conscious knowledge. Back then, this is 1999, so, even the more known things like Reiki or healing touch were very, very niche. Very niche back then. So I'd never heard of those things at all. So it was a very unusual experience to suddenly feel energy, and then next thing I've had this. I guess it was almost a freak event where I accidentally helped someone.
How did that show up?
So basically what happened is I was doing work experience at a health retreat, and you've probably been to many, they're like school camps. And I went to sit down for breakfast, and as I went to get my, my knife and fork, as I went to get them, my hands forcefully pulled together. I'm just going around the microphone, but it was like here. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I pulled my hands out, in and out, and I could feel this phenomena I described. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there doing this, and I'm thinking, oh no, I've lost my mind. Like, I have lost my mind. And I if you'd said, have you lost your mind? I would have said 100%. I've lost my mind. Hmm. And I was in that moment feeling really distressed. I was very young. I was only 18. I had never felt anything like this, and it was very tangible. I may as well have been holding the microphone. It's like that real. So I'm sitting there thinking, this is it. This is the end of sanity. And someone sitting diagonally opposite me is like, are you okay? Because I was obviously distressed. Like, I'm like, no, I'm not okay. I can feel something between my hands. It's like freaking me out.
And nothing's there.
Nothing's there. No one can see it, including me. I could feel it. Mm-hmm. And I turned to the person next to me, and I put my hand up like this, and I was like, feel this. And the lady next to me puts her hand up, and like, I feel like in that moment the world stopped for me. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know why I asked her if she could feel it. I guess it was so tangible for me. It felt like I didn't think about it. I just asked her. And so she puts her hand up. And when it met mine at a distance, not touching, she was, oh my God, what is that? And I was like, fuck, she can feel it.
Wow.
And so that was the first, moment where I had this perception of energy or magnetism or whatever people call it, different things. I don't dare name it, but it was, I can feel it. And then what happened was other people started coming up to feel this phenomena coming out of my hands. And I don't remember how many before this one lady came up to feel it. And when she put her hand up, so everyone was putting it up to feel what was coming out of me.
And could everyone feel it?
I don't think everyone, but quite a big amount of people. It was a majority. Like, I don't know if anyone couldn't in those first few. I actually can't remember. There's a trauma associated with that time. But I think most of them could. And, typically you would still get more than 50% of people feel it. So it's quite a high number anyway. So anyway, this lady puts her hand up. And as soon as she put her hand up, I was like, oh, that's so weird. You've got this lump out here, and no one else had it. So straight away, I was like, oh, it wasn't about her feeling whatever was coming out of me. It was now me feeling like, oh, that's so weird. There's this lump. And I go, I don't know why, but I really want to get rid of the lump.
So in between your hands, you would feel from her a lump in the energy.
Well, so that's her hand?
Yeah. In between.
So this is acting.
Uh-huh.
This is her,
yeah.
And this is me. And I'm feeling it, and there was a lump out here.
Got it.
But no one else had that.
Right.
And it was very tangible. So it was like the table for me. Like, it felt like it was something that even was probably hard to push my hand into. So I'm going, I don't know why, but I've got to get rid of this lump. We end up sitting down in front of a fireplace, in front of, we're in the camp in front of a fireplace, and I'm just with my hand. There's nothing of what I do today, which is very much a lot focusing in my head, but I'm just trying to smooth this lump out. I have no idea why I'm doing it, what I'm doing, what it may or may not do. I just am compelled. And so I'm very present, I would say, just focused. So I get about halfway, and I just take a second to notice my surroundings, and I look at her, and she's got tears streaming down her face, and there's a crowd around watching. And I was like, oh, I'm hurting you. I'm so sorry. you should have said something, because I wasn't watching her, you know. And so in that moment, I was like, I really thought I'm somehow causing her distress. And she goes, no, please keep going. And I was like, all right, I'll keep going. So I keep going. And I get to the point where the lump is sort of at the same, hard to explain, but the lump was basically gone. It was sort of at the same level as the rest of what I could feel around her hand, which was sort of a smooth magnetic surrounding. And she starts bending her finger, and she goes, I haven't been able to bend this finger for 10 years. I actually always told the story as 3, but then I spoke to her a few years ago, like 20 years after I did it, and she was like, no, it was 10. So I was like, okay, so I'll remember this 10. And so in that moment, I went right back into a very internally distressed state. I didn't feel good at all. Like I didn't know what was about to happen. I didn't know that it even could happen. And because it was so real to me, that experience, and I recognized that she knew what I was doing because she had the arthritic finger. So she was crying because she knew that I was working on something that she was aware of, even though I wasn't. And so that moment, it was probably up amongst the most stressful moments of my life, where you're just like, whoa, what? Like, that's, you know, it was intense. And I didn't have it wasn't a soft approach. It was like, I didn't know these things could happen. And next thing, it's happened. I've been a part of it.
Right.
So that was the beginning. And it was you know, it was obviously a pretty big moment in my life. It took me a while, and after that, I did embrace it, even though there was still, it was like every time I helped someone after that, it would still kind of like shake my world a bit, especially as the things got more and more serious. As a young person, you know, where there is no support and mostly negativity for these things, there is a lot to process. Everyone thinks they'd love to do this sort of thing, but the reality of doing it in a world that is very abrasive for it, especially back then, but it has changed a bit, not as much as I would like. It's changed a little bit, but but I still imagine if you were, you know, 18 and discovered it today at the level I do it, it's still a bit of a rattling thing. So that was the beginning, and it just turned out I could consistently repeat these things again and again and again at a high rate, not a perfect rate, but a very high one. And that was when I started. So obviously over time I've got experience. I've got 26 years or so experience since then, but I was arguably almost just as good at it day one as I am today. Not quite. Like if me at 18 went head to head with me at 44, I'm going to beat me, but only just probably. Right. So it was at a very high level straight away. And
Would you feel like an energy coming through you?
A little bit. I feel stuff for sure, but it's more what I can do in other people. So I can, when someone's in, you know, chronic pain, I do a lot of stuff, but chronic pain's a big one. I can put my consciousness into their body and affect the body in different ways.
Like, so much of this stuff is we get caught up in all the new ageisms of all this stuff too. So like when you go in, is that like a permission thing, or is do I
ask permission?
Yeah, or does the body, similar to your first time, like there was a energetic invitation or something like that. She clearly, her being was like, yeah, go, right? Yeah. Is that always the case, or is there sometimes the person, not even getting into the nuance of did you ask permission or not, but is it really the participation on the other side?
No. I would say that my experience is that the other party is irrelevant in terms of participation. I do like to have permission, and to be honest, if someone doesn't want me to work on them, I've got other things to do, so
Right.
I'm not worried about that. So I certainly wouldn't do that if someone doesn't want me to. But if you give me 10 people to work on, I'm going to help 7 or 8 of them meaningfully, no matter what they think or feel. And actually what can happen is sometimes the biggest skeptic will have the best result and the most open person won't. It's just not, there doesn't seem to be a correlate that I can see. A lot of the work I'm doing at the moment is to sort of look into that. I'm being studied by the big university here, and they're looking into answering some of these questions that I can't.
If you went into now from your 18 and your heaps of experience doing it, even though maybe results are not as dramatic because the power is what it is or the ability is what it is. Do you feel like, can you describe the mechanism any better? Can you describe how, what, where?
The best I can do, and it's actually in my book. So the book I wrote was specific to emotion, but ultimately what it was about is that, when the body is disordered, so it's not healing, ultimately when the parts of us that are disordered get the right attention, it comes into order. And I believe that it's the same mechanism, whether it be my sort of work. Yeah, so that's why there's a real crossover between...
Oh, there's interesting. So because I was split even in the discussion, because on the one hand you're healing people, and on the other, in the book, it's actually you're sitting with and healing yourself.
That's right, but it's the same mechanism.
But the mechanism, so it's order. It's energetic order.
Think about it like this. The body is an incredible healer, isn't it? And you can get 2 people with the exact same problem. One heals well, one doesn't. So the body is capable of healing most of the things that sometimes it doesn't. Right? So 2 people get an injury. One heals fine, one doesn't. This happens regularly. And so the body's capability is often, especially in those with chronic conditions, is well beyond what it's demonstrating in this particular case. And so I believe, and I don't want to say that I know anything for a fact, because I'm not in the, I don't believe that I will always or ever know everything. But what I think is that when the body gets cut off from its own ability to heal, this energy can go work around that issue in someone's body, and I suppose create the conditions where the body comes back to its capability. And so the book was about the emotional version of that, which of course you can do on your own, but this is the energetic version. So I think that there's a bit of an X factor with what someone like I can do, because in certain cases it displays this sort of X factor or this extraordinary thing that is just unexplainable. It just sits, the speed at which it can help, the distance, the type of things.
Because you don't need to be in front of someone.
No.
Is it more or less effective, or does it matter?
We might find out today with you a little bit, but I think it is. Look, there is probably a small percentage that it is more effective in person. It's very small though. So like mostly I'll work on people remotely, and there are times where I was having trouble remotely that in person it was just that little extra bit of oomph. Mostly it's very close, but I have seen a few examples where it's just that there is that little bit something extra, for sure.
Yeah, it's so interesting, because going off of that premise of our bodies do want to heal, like
they can,
and the universe itself is just this incredible ecosystem
Mm-hmm.
of regeneration. It's like if we move out of the way, watch what if we don't walk on a sidewalk in New York,
Mm-hmm.
no one gets to, right? And you just let that sidewalk go. Plants will start exploding through the cracks, and like it will break down our feeble attempt of order, because the generational strength of the entire universe is in a plant, is in us. So I do believe that at my core, that we have this. And so now what I'm getting, because I luckily got to read your book and kind of start applying right away, and it was perfect timing to it all. And it's a whole nother thing to stop and actually
How do I feel?
Yeah. Because I recapitulating this morning, just on its own, was happening again. Another layer of like my knee, my back, and like the trajectory of the emotion that was embedded all the way back to when I was born. Because I was 3.5 pounds in 1970, a 50-50 chance of surviving, fucking chaos, right? I was born, no contact with mom, stuck, poked, blah, 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 incubator for 2.5, 3 weeks. And we now know that you can die in that situation, which I almost did. So when I'm sitting with this pain, the feeling, and we'll get to all of these great aspects of your book, the feeling, the mind wants to take it and just spin up and just do whatever, but then constantly bringing back the feeling, you don't want to feel it.
No,
I didn't want to feel it.
Worse than that. You hate it.
Yeah, I didn't want to feel it then.
Yeah.
And I've had injuries. These are old injuries, and these injuries actually support the no feeling of the feeling. They support the same feeling, because I would get hurt, and then, oh my God, I can't feel. And I'd create all this stuff, and there was actually good parts of that, because I was like, I'm weak. My number one thing that I felt coming into this world is you're weak and broken. It's 3.5 pounds. I was almost dying. My dad told me the moment he saw me choose life. He told me that before he passed away. Powerful. Yeah. And then he sees me all the time. Injury would happen, and then I'd figure out a way around it. But what I didn't know until now is that there was a feeling that was screaming to be felt all the way through these injuries. It's like a same line of energy that's touching all these points. So it's not easy, but it's also not hard.
That's true too. Well, the truth is it's much harder not to. Right. So like, it's not easy because we are not taught what do we do with emotions that are hard. We're not taught. In fact, we are taught something, but it's the opposite. Emotions that are hard when we're in a state of overwhelm, we're taught to do everything we can to get ourselves out of the overwhelm through distraction, through medication, through anything, because overwhelm is very difficult. Overwhelm is where we have like a consistent thought that's feels out of control.
Yeah.
I'm sick of this pain. I'm struggling with this certain situation. We're sort of, it's sort of an obsessed state almost in one aspect of the personality. And, the training going back for, I suppose, generations and generations is when we're in these states, they are, to be avoided, shamed, pathologized, medicated, alcohol, you name it. We think we're not meant to be there.
Yeah.
And the flaw in that, and it's a big one, is that we're looking at ourselves as humans and saying we were made with a flaw.
Yeah.
That we have a flaw, which is an inability to cope with certain situations And then once the flaw appears, we're going to do everything we can to stop the flaw from affecting us. But we still consider it a flaw. You know, any state that becomes, it's a little bit like if you wash your hands, it's totally fine. If you continue to wash your hands, it's a condition. If you're sad for a day, that's fine. If you're sad for months, it's a condition. So as soon as something becomes overwhelming and constant, we say, well, that's wrong. The human body is broken.
Right.
And it's interesting because the human body is so intelligent. It's incredible.
Well, our whole system is...
The whole thing is amazing.
Yeah, the whole thing's amazing. And in the face of what we've built in this modern world, the modern world actually seems to feed us the opposite. Because the healthcare system, it's completely like, well, of course you're broken, so there's a pill.
Yeah.
There's a drug.
It breaks you even more.
Like, it just further solidifies this idea that, hey, you're broken, you need help from us, we'll help you out. You name the system. Name it.
Everyone. But even the one that we lean to as good is not that different. You know, you're still broken. Oh, you have bad thoughts?
Right.
Just make better thoughts.
So, but this is a good one, but I want to set it up with two things that ring so true that you say. One, that none of this is your fault. Like, if I go back, I was born into chaos, and I was born, it was not my fault.
That's not your fault.
Right? I received an energy, I've responded to it at the time, absolutely appropriately, whatever that...
Understandably.
Right? Understandably. And now unpacking my life, now there's an opportunity to feel that because I'm safe, but it wasn't my fault. So it's like shame, blame, blah, 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 can get wrapped up into that. The other thing that you say powerfully, which I also agree with, is everything that happens in our life is for us. And that sometimes, like for me, recently, when my back is at a level 9 pain, which is at about 8 right now, I know, and I continue to go, this is happening for me. All of it. And then the next step is feel it, feel it, feel it. Those two things, I believe, are so powerful to then take that ownership of the moment, which is the other thing that it's like you have literally everything here, not there, not over there, not in some mantra, but actually right here. How did you come up, like I'm curious from the space that you've been working in the energy field to then writing this amazing book, how did you, was it informing you through your work?
I want to start with, actually, because you said a lot of things then. But, you know, when you say everything is happening for me, a lot of people don't like to hear that.
No.
Because they say, oh, so I was, you know, I went through this terrible event and that was for me, was it? So I lost a loved one that was for me. Like, how can you say that? And I think it is tricky. This takes taking a really deep breath.
Yeah.
And before reacting to that sentence, everything's happening for me, it's understanding why it's a good idea to think this. And so even if you can't get to, oh no, it's happening for me, like everything's great, there's another way to look at it, and this is what I hope the book teaches, is that you have life, and life goes from, you know, birth, in your case, an uncomfortable one, and then there's death. And in between is life. And life isn't always good. It isn't. It has good, difficult, good, somewhere in the middle. You know, it's just, you can barely have a day that doesn't have a bit of everything. But what happens is when we think that every difficult thing is wrong, not only then do we have the difficult thing, now we are also a victim of life. We have an expectation. We've put this expectation on life that it must be good or okay for us to be welcoming of life. But this is not how life works. And so the better view is to go, life has this.
Yeah.
And so that is the human experience. There's no way around it. The only way around it is to not be born. And so if we're going to be conditional on life, that I'm going to disagree with it or even hate it based on the natural difficult circumstances that arise, I am going to have a lot harder time with the natural hard times, because hard times are hard. But then if I think it's wrong, that's two problems.
Right.
So I'm trying to have one problem.
Yeah.
And so that's the idea behind everything is happening for me. So what you do is yes, you have to deal with a hard time, the loss of the parent, the back, whatever it is. And so you still have the back pain and you have to deal with that. But if you're also a victim of it, like it's wrong, like it's a fundamental wrong, but it's not, because this is life. And so what happens with that is once you kind of go, okay, so yes, I have to move through all these highs and lows of life. But the more I am in a state of everything happens for me at the time, instead of waiting for hindsight to decide what's good and bad. So often what we do, especially people who are like open-minded and spiritual seeking, you know, we often look back and go, oh yeah, I know why that happened for me.
Yeah.
I grew, I learned, I became healthier, I became a better person. You know, in hindsight, we can pretty much see everything is good most of the time, right? But what is better to do and more powerful is to not wait for hindsight. And what that does is it means that when we're going through something difficult, yes, we have the difficult event, but if we're not hating life because of it or the event, we don't go into the overwhelm. And when we're in an overwhelmed state, we don't heal as well. We don't manifest as well. We don't make decisions that are as good. And those are the things that will help us navigate difficult times. So when you say, or when I say everything happens for me, the idea of that is a tool to keep us present, to accept life as it is, not get into an overwhelmed state just because I'm having a difficult time. I'm still going through the difficult thing, but I'm not a victim of it. It's just the human experience. And so my ability to exit a difficult time is so much better than the person who is a victim or hating the difficult time. It's not comparable.
Right.
So when you just hear that sentence, it's tricky. But when you think about the logic behind it, it's very powerful.
And it doesn't bypass the pain, which shouldn't, because people spiritually bypass all the time. Definitely. And they don't feel, right? That's a big one in most of the communities of manifestation or whatever. You're actually bypassing a lot of good information that you're missing. And it's also not excusing the event or a person or whatever else. And it's also the feeble little mind can't grok it in those moments anyway. So, but you're building a muscle of this is life, up and down.
Yeah.
Your acceptance of life going, I have no idea why this happened.
And I have to deal with it.
This sucks. I got to deal with it, and blah, blah, blah. Similar to, I lost my dad, and it's like, it's impossible to grok that in the moment, and you have layers and layers of grief. But I just had someone reach out to me because they knew that I lost my dad, and they just lost theirs, and then they opened up, and I said, in my experience, my dad and my relationship with my dad continued after he passed, and it was beautiful. I just miss his body sometimes, and I miss interacting with him, and it proved to be so. And that actually came a little quicker to me because I could feel him really strong straight after. So that's just throwing that as an example. Grieving him was the hardest thing in my life to this point, right? So it doesn't get rid of that.
No. In fact, totally appropriate.
Yeah.
Your dad passed, and grief is appropriate.
Yeah.
Also, but the mistake people make is they sort of say it's wrong that he passed.
Right.
But if you think it's wrong that he passed, you have to say it was wrong that he was born.
Right.
Because this is life. And so you are accepting that in your dad's case, everything happens for me. So when he passed, that was a natural consequence of his birth. Your birth was as a result. So we can't hate it, but that doesn't mean we don't appropriately mourn, feel sad, we miss. But what happens is if you don't accept that this is how the present moment is presenting, then what happens is we say it's wrong, it was too soon, I wasn't ready, it shouldn't happen, doctors should have done this, blah, blah, if only he had that, so what that is the resistance to reality of, I wish things were different to what they are. But the thing is that if I wish that I'm sitting somewhere else, I'm not. Right. I'm right here.
Right.
So what is the point of wishing to be something that is impossible? And ultimately what that is wrestling with the present moment. And this is where we live. We're in the present moment. We leave it all the time through imagining a better future or a worse one, and imagine or remembering the good parts of our past or the worst. We're always leaving the present moment for one reason or another, but this is where we are. Right. And if I wish it to be different to what it is, even if I wish to not be here, I'm looking at the time, I'm wishing it was over, so I'm not here with you. And this is what people are doing all the time. Can I wish to not be here? No, all I can do is make my time here uncomfortable by wishing it was different to what it is. And this is what we do in life all the time. We're always going, well, I don't want this, the way this present moment is presenting is not what I want. So I'm going to read a manifestation book that teaches me how to create a new present moment that is different to this one because I don't like this one. But ultimately what that does is it entrenches us in this idea of, well, I'm uncomfortable, so I'm going to imagine comfort. Right. And somehow that's meant to make me feel better. And it does, perhaps, when you first hear of concepts like this, it does feel good. Oh, is that all I need to do? Just imagine. But the truth is actually, in order to have peace, and ultimately if you have peace, you don't need much more than that. When you have peace, your list of needs shrinks dramatically. But the only way to have peace is to be able to sit in the present moment and experience it as it is. The difficult moments, the beautiful moments, and everything in between, and go, this is the experience I'm meant to be having right now, and I'm not going to hate it. Even if it's hard, like even if I have anxiety right now, okay, I have anxiety right now. I'm not going to hate it. I'm going to still experience it without the added layer of resisting reality.
And do you think that to me just screams addiction, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like so we're unwilling to feel, and times that by our lifetime. So how many times have we blown that off, pushed that off?
Most of the time.
Most of the time. So now here we are. We've got opportunities of feelings that are trying to come through the body, but we're just on to the next. We're scrolling, we're drinking, we're drugging.
All addiction is trying to leave the present moment.
Right.
So the addiction is, I don't like how I feel right now, and I need a tool to not feel it. So that is saying the present moment is uncomfortable. And depending on why it's uncomfortable, will depend on the tool we use. If it's severely uncomfortable, like if the trauma is very bad, it might be it might be fentanyl. If it's or it might be television, or somewhere in between that, depending on exactly what your level of internal suffering is. But addiction is essentially, here's the present moment, I do not want to be here. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, and this is the big misunderstanding, is the body is incredible. It's incredible. Mm. If this table was too hot, my body would tell me to lift my hand. If it was a hot plate, my body would tell me. And it might tell me, unfortunately, through a really sharp pain. Right? It might be like, lift your hand, you are burning. It might hurt me. Now, was my body trying to hurt me, or was it getting me to react at the speed it needed me to before damage was done? Mm. Right? So like the body is capable literally of, you could put your hand on a flame, and if your brain didn't want to show you that, it's got the actual capability to not, but it goes, no, this is an immediate issue.
Right.
Get your hand up. Right. And in fact, it's so clever. If I put my hand in a fire or on a flame, I can actually get it out quick enough to not be burned because of my body telling me how urgent this is. This is urgent.
Right.
And there's lots of examples of this where the body is constantly like we don't just drive the body through our eyes and ears, and like we're having all these senses. If I sat on a pin, I'm warned. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. But my body gives me all these feelings that help us get from A to B. Mm-hmm. Doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Like if you never felt hungry, ever, what would happen? You would die. If you never felt thirsty, you would die. Full stop. In fact, quite quickly with thirst. If you never felt scared, you would be dead. you right?
Yeah. So
these emotions that we've kind of called difficult, or even when they're in this more elevated, overwhelmed state, we think they're wrong. They're really the most important emotions, because it is lovely to feel happy. It's lovely to feel love. It's lovely to feel joy. It's lovely they're all lovely, and they're important because they make the human experience beautiful. But you actually wouldn't be here if it weren't for the emotions that we hate. You wouldn't be here. You would be dead.
Right.
Full stop. Mm-hmm. Especially fear. Fear is the superhero of emotions. Mm. But we ostracize it. I stood in a room recently where I said to people, put your hand up if you like fear. No one put their hand up. And I'm like, but fear, when you walk up to a busy road to cross it, fear protects you.
You better love that. You better love that.
When you're walking near a cliff, fear protects you. I wouldn't hire a babysitter that doesn't have access to fear. I would never do that. Right. And so I said, no one said they like fear, but fear is incredibly important. Mm-hmm. Superman, without fear, is not a superhero anymore. Mm-hmm. Because for all the skills that Superman has to help people, if he looks and doesn't recognize the danger that fear lets you know, that person's in trouble. And so we've ostracized all these emotions, whether that be in the Western medical system or even in the self-help. Oh, you feel fear, just say I feel calm. It's like, no, why don't we work out how to work with fear? Right. Why is it telling you that it's afraid all the time? You know, and then I did the same thing for pain. I said, who put your hand up if you like pain? And this is right after I explained that fear was good. No one put their hand up. And I said, but how many times has pain saved you from being burned? How many times, like, let you know to go to the doctor? Pain is not bad. I know that when it's in an overwhelmed state, in other words, when it's permanent, that's problematic, but it doesn't mean it is bad.
Right. And
it's a really interesting thing that I think even people listening to this, if you go through all those emotions, they've never seen the importance.
Yeah. Yeah, the perspective of seeing the importance of, and how you say it in the book is basically this box of all of the emotions. But then somewhere along the line of an event or whatever, or you make it wrong, you splinter it, right? And then it all of a sudden it's now. And you gave that great example in the book of it was your son, right? Daughter, where you try to have this be a part of the upbringing. And then when a stranger, like it was in the airport, it puts his hand, he was compelled by this little rambunctious kid, and this older gentleman, not trying to harm, but inappropriately puts his hand on your daughter, whatever, and she
swung.
She swung. She's like, hey, I don't know you.
Don't touch me.
My instinct is, hey, that's appropriate.
Totally appropriate. But that's the thing. I mean, the broader context for that is that even the best parents do this, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not saying every parent, but like, it's sort of, we think of good parents and bad parents, but the truth is that if you don't actually understand the concepts of how the personality forms, then good parents can do harm. And one of the ways good parents can do harm is it's like we have this expectation that children should behave like adults pretend to behave. Yeah. So children are meant to behave at this level that adults behind closed doors simply do not.
Right.
But we have this expectation. So, you know, a young child, an example is like, you know, a 3-year-old doesn't want to share their toy and we're forcing them to share. And the problem with that is it seems fine on the surface level. Of course, we should make them share. But what happens if we teach the child that you always have to share even when you don't want to? Now, a 3-year-old doesn't have the broader context of, you know, sharing feels good and all this stuff. They're not at that stage. They're at the stage where they're like, this is my property, right? And we try and curate them to be like, don't hit, don't swear, don't do whatever. But the truth is that as you get to be an adult, there are times where it isn't appropriate to share because you don't have the resources. You know, so that child, if they're shamed for protecting their resources, as the adult could potentially overshare. You know, give more than they can afford to give because the part of their personality that was forming to maintain what they need to maintain, even though at the time, of course, you know, you'd love them just to share with everyone, but ultimately we're curating their personality instead of recognizing that the personality is made up of many traits: sharing, not sharing, hitting and not hitting. So I shouldn't hit you right now, but if you attack me, I'm probably going to need to defend myself. So both things may be appropriate. So does the child need to learn the part of their personality that can hit when they're so small they can't hurt anyone? Yes, because one day you don't want them to have a freeze response, which is what you were referring to, in the event they need to defend themselves, like a little girl with the older man trying to touch her, my daughter. And so, but that's what happens is it's like we spend our whole lives, we have this very dynamic, very, you know, very big range in our different personality traits. And, you know, from rage to joy and generosity. So it's a big variance in the human capacity. And what we're doing to us, parents do to children, is they're going, no, snip, don't, that's too angry, that tantrum is wrong, that behavior is wrong. So we're curating the personality at a young age, but what we don't realize is that as the adult, then we've cut off a lot of these personalities. We're creating the person that can't speak up, the person that doesn't, can't defend themselves, the person that, gives too much or gives too little, like all these things, because at these early ages, we've done this curation. But then we do it also as adults. So we say, what is wrong with me? Sometimes I get angry, or sometimes I withdraw, or whatever. How do I fix that? How do I fix this part of me that I don't like? I don't like part of me. And so we're continuing this curation, whether it's like I show up to a doctor, I have anxiety. Oh, you don't like that? Oh, no, I don't like it. Okay, well, here's the pill for it. Right. Or show up to the self-help person and say, I have these thoughts in my head where I'm not good enough. Oh, that's really simple. Just think you're good enough. But what about the thoughts that I'm not good enough? Is that important sometimes? Is it important sometimes to feel bad about yourself? Yes. It's critical, because how do I grow? Is shame wrong? No, because if I upset a friend or hurt my partner or whatever I do, is a shame response appropriate? Yes, because I feel, I feel really ashamed. I'm so sorry I hurt you. I'm going to repair. I'm going to improve. Right? So all these emotions are very, very important. But what we're doing as a society, no matter where you go on the spectrum for help, we're still curating our personalities. And so unfortunately, the more we do it, the worse things get. Because we actually need all aspects of our personality to be functioning, not in overwhelm, but in coherence. Right. But the more we try and curate them, the more overwhelmed we get.
Yeah, even that self-help example, it further supports, hey, I don't have what I want. I want to feel joy all the time, but I have this part of me that it isn't on board. And so therefore, just to go, we'll just do a mantra, then has to put it in the corner again.
Exactly.
And it goes on and on and on. And then that kid, where it came from, is just doing the same thing. So then it's doing push-ups in the parking lot, getting ready to kind of blow up again. And then you miss the opportunity and the missed opportunity and I'm putting my hands up. Like I've clearly missed some opportunities even in my situation. I don't say even in my, I'm like,
yeah, you're at the pointy end of you should know, right?
Yeah,
you would think.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the problem is that the information is wrong, and so because it's a big industry, and ultimately people can read a book and go, oh, you know what? I'm going to make my own spin on this. We've got a lot of the same subject matter written in a few different ways. That's just the reality. You've got 1,000 manifestation books. You've got a whole lot of books on change your thought, change your thoughts, change your life. But ultimately, it isn't working. It creates Band-Aids, so it can feel good for a bit. Like, for example, if you're in a terrible place and you don't have enough money and whatever else, a manifestation book will make you feel better for a little bit. It will, because you're imagining feeling good. But ultimately, it all comes crashing down at a point.
But it also doesn't, it's not 100% either or, in the sense that, and I don't mean it from a bypass perspective, but I mean it from and I'm also going back to when you're at peace, your list is less.
Much shorter.
But at the same time, if I have a purpose-driven life and I have things that I want to do and create, so I get clear and I write them down and I'm doing those things, but it's not with the not feeling side of it.
Yeah, you can do that. You can't. You got to make, like I've made an app which you mentioned earlier. Like that was a 25-year plan.
Right.
So I didn't know it was going to be an app, but it was a plan that turned into an app. But so you can still be like, these are things I would like to achieve. And that's fine. I mean, our brain is able to do this, but ultimately we are still here.
Yeah.
And in fact, in order to achieve the thing, we need to be here doing things every day that step us closer to that thing.
Right.
But if we're trying to live in the future that hasn't arrived yet, then a few things happen. In the present moment is where our body tells us what it needs to tell us. It says, that table's too hot. It says, I don't feel good right now. I have some anxiety. It says, I'm hungry. It says, it's telling us things. It says, I feel good. So the meeting ground for emotion is in the present moment. And our body is so intelligent. And we don't, but we should trust that even if if I feel anxious right now, I happen not to, but if I did. And the problem that we have is we say, but I'm not uncomfortable. I'm sitting on my couch at home alone. Why am I anxious? And we say it as wrong. But what happens is, and this is the bit people misunderstand, you've got the present moment, we'll just put this here. And then you've got the past, a timeline from birth to here, and then you have the future. What happens is we have all these parts of us that we have pushed out at different times. I don't want to feel this Xanax. I don't want to feel this alcohol. I don't want to feel this surfing. I don't want to feel, right? So there's all these, 1982, 1990, there's all these moments. And what happens in the present moment is these parts of us that we've said no to are trying to come back. Mm-hmm. And so that's why when people get these emotional moments that are out of context, they further say, no, this doesn't belong here. Everything is fine. I have a good job. I have a good partner. I have whatever. The misunderstanding is that's true. Everything is okay now. But you have a whole history of stuff that you've pushed out and it actually needs to come through. And what happens is when you allow it over time, there won't be all these historical things knocking at the door saying, hey, you ready now? The 6-year-old you, the 12-year-old you, in your case, at birth. And ultimately, so the present moment is the meeting ground for that. Like, how do I feel right now? Mm-hmm. Okay, I feel sad. Okay, all right, sadness. Well, this is what my intelligent body is telling me I'm meant to feel right now. I'm going to feel you. I'm not going to hate you. You're part of me. Sadness is an appropriate response to a death. It's an appropriate response to a breakup. It's an appropriate response to a job loss, right? These are all appropriate. And so recognizing that even if the emotion is out of context to the present moment, it's only because I paused it and it had no choice but to come in out of context. Mm-hmm. And it's very important because in this same moment is you and I having a conversation where we would like to be present. It's also where true manifestation that everyone is sort of hoping to find, it actually exists in the present moment. Mm-hmm. It exists in sitting here, wanting to be here, no matter how it feels, because this is life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's intense in the sense that it's so easy, our society, our life is so set up to distract us. And it's so easy to blow that off. And it's funny, I have a question, like, it might be the weirdest question. I find myself sometimes, how do I feel? Mm-hmm. Not how do I feel, but how do I then feel?
Oh, how do you feel?
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I was sitting this morning and I'm going into my back and I'm letting that, I'm just kind of, I'm not necessarily doing anything other than just going there to feel it. Is that basically?
I would think of it as well as you have the sore back, and obviously I'll try and help you with it if I can, but you have the sore back and you have the physical pain, you also have your emotional responses to that. That's the layers we would like to get rid of, because let's pretend, and I hope this isn't true, and I'm sure it won't be true, but let's pretend that for the rest of your life, you have this back that's you have to manage. Would you rather be at peace with it?
Yes.
Or would you rather have the pain and be overwhelmed for the rest of your life every time the pain comes? Because the pain if it's a given, and I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying if it was, when you look back, would you rather have just been at peace? And yes, you're experiencing the same level of pain, but then you're not mentally in overwhelm. And I'll give you an interesting example. If you have no pain at all, but you're in overwhelm, people kill themselves in that state.
Yeah.
So being overwhelmed, especially of a prolonged period,
Big issue.
even if your body is fine, even if you've got all the money in the world, even if you've got beautiful children, even the career is great, but you're in an overwhelmed state, it is dangerous.
Yeah.
I would say it's dangerous. Like anyone who has been in prolonged overwhelm will tell you it's unsafe, isn't it?
Mm.
And so what we're trying to do is go, well, if we are constantly a victim of the present moment and wishing things were different and in fact hating the present moment as it's presenting, that is where overwhelm comes from. And it is arguably the most dangerous state you can be in.
Mm.
And so what we want to do is say, well, my back is in a lot of pain. And obviously I'm not telling you to not to be joyous about it. In fact, the appropriate response is, this doesn't feel good. But we need to process that appropriate response so it doesn't keep saying it.
Right.
You only need to hear it once. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, we know you hate it, so it doesn't need to repeat every day of your life.
Right.
Because you're already suffering enough. And so we want to get rid of the emotional layers, and then I would argue it'll be very interesting to see what happens when those layers are gone. Mm-hmm. The hatred, the unfairness, mm-hmm. I could have had this, all these things. They're understandable responses, but they echo for forever. And so finding peace with what is very powerful. And then it can be miraculous what that can create. Mm-hmm. And that's also important. So either way, whether you continue to suffer the pain but not the overwhelm, that would still be a very good...
Big time.
Yeah. Because I'll put it this way. If you got rid of the pain but kept the overwhelm, you at some point, it's actually a risk to your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is I feel like we could talk for a long time, and that's why the beautiful thing, you put this so well in the book and gave so many great examples. So I really hope that people understand this, because this is gonna tweak their matrix a little bit.
A little bit.
You know, it's gonna fly in the face of a lot of this stuff. But the intro to your book, I got butterflies. Like I was like, oh, he's putting his finger on something that I think is needed and required, and it is a unescapable thing that we need to experience, but we keep trying to escape it, and it just doesn't lead to peace.
Not working. And I think, look, I think that the book can help a lot of people. I mean, I genuinely, that's why I did it, because I really think it's meaningful, and what it does is it ties together some of these high-level concepts that have only ever been given to us as one-liners.
Right.
Oh, just be present. Okay, like I don't, but that's not comfortable. Why would I want that?
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so, and also, you know, I think helps people understand where you've got to be careful of who your teachers are, because some things feel good they feel like they could be a solution, but actually you'd be very careful to make sure that they are in fact that, and they're not just another painkiller for the present moment.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to avoid.
Yeah. Well, I love the work on every level, and I'm grateful for this call. We'll have to bring you back and
do it with longer time.
We'll dive into it more. But thank you for your time, your contribution, and let's help people. Let's bring them back to feel in the moment.
Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Pleasure.
Whew. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Oh my god, I gotta stand up. And it got freaking warm in here, right?
Yeah, the AC's not on because of the audio.